So this is Jacob's Algebra, Chapter 9, Lesson 3, and I'm just going to quickly go through a couple of examples from each of the set 2 problems. So we're going to start with number 4. The intent of this lesson is to let you know that polynomials can be added and polynomials can be subtracted. We've actually already done this when we learned how to solve systems of equations, so there really isn't anything new in this lesson. So let's look at number 4. We're going to do part E. For part E, they have an addition problem set up for you with polynomials. So it looks like this. There's 5x cubed minus 4x squared. Then there's a gap, and then it says plus 11. And underneath that, we have negative x cubed, and then there's a gap, plus 4x, and then minus 7. Now I want you to notice what they did here was keep all the things that were like terms in the same column. So cubes were in the same column, squares were in the same column. We only have a square in the first equation, not in the second. X's were in the third column. We only have an X in the third column. In the second equation in the third column. And in the last column, we have just our plain numbers. So we're just going to add the two equations, expressions. 5x cubed minus x cubed is 4x cubed. Negative 4x squared plus 0 is negative 4x squared. 0 plus 4x is plus 4x. And then 11 minus 7 is plus 4. So that's what we get when we add those two equations together. Number 5 is very much like number 4. Oh, and number 4 was just like number 10 that I assigned for homework. Except in number 5, we're supposed to subtract the second polynomial from the first. So first I'm going to do part A. Part A is 11x plus 3. And then we're going to subtract the polynomial 4x minus 1. Okay, the thing that you have to be careful of is that negative has to be distributed across every term in this second polynomial. So if you just leave that minus there, you're only going to be applying it to the first term. What I do is I cross that out and I flip the sign of every term in the second polynomial. So our 4x that's positive, we're going to make that negative. Our negative 1, which is negative, we're going to make that positive. You just flip all the signs. And then you can add. 11x minus 4x is 7x. 3 plus 1 is 4. So 7x plus 4 is our answer. We're going to do one more from number 5. We're going to do part E. Part E has x to the 4th minus 8x squared plus 4x. And we're going to subtract the polynomial x squared minus 5x minus 2. Notice I have like terms in the same column. Now we need to subtract the second polynomial. So when we need to subtract it, I'm going to flip the sign of every term. X squared is positive, so I'm going to make it negative. 5x is negative, so I'm going to make it positive. The 2 is negative, so I'm going to make it positive. Now I can just add. X to the 4th is still just x to the 4th because we're not doing anything to it. Negative 8x squared minus x squared is minus 9x squared. 4x plus 5x is 9x. And then we just copy down our 2 because nothing happens to it. So that was number 5, part E, and that is just like number 11. So remember, when you are subtracting a polynomial, you have to apply that negative sign to every term of that polynomial. I find the easiest way to do that to be flipping every sign on that polynomial. Okay, so now we're going to go to a new page. Let's look at number 6. Number 6 is going to be just like number 12 that's assigned for homework. So for number 6, we're given two polynomials. Polynomial A, that's an equal sign, is 3x squared plus x minus 2. Polynomial B is x squared minus 4x plus 3. For part A, it says find their sum and label it C. Okay, if I take A and add it to B, I will get C, right? So C is what we get when we add these together. 3x squared plus x squared is 4x squared. X minus 4x is minus 3x. Negative 2 plus 3, that's a plus 1. Okay, so that is my answer for part A. Part B says find their difference by subtracting polynomial B from polynomial A. What that means is we start with A and we're going to subtract B. And we're going to label this new polynomial D. Okay, so I'm going to copy down A, which is 3x squared plus x minus 2. And in place of B, I'm going to write what negative B is. I'm going to flip every sign for polynomial B. So instead of x squared, I'm going to write minus x squared. Instead of negative 4x, I'm going to write positive 4x. Instead of a positive 3, I'm going to write a negative 3. Now I can just add these. 3x squared plus a negative x squared is 2x squared. X plus 4x is 5x. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. So 2x squared plus 5x minus 5 is what we get when we subtract polynomial B from polynomial A. Okay, then for part C it says find the values of the four polynomials if x equals 4 and if x equals 5. Well, in class we did it for x equals 4, so I'm going to do it for x equals 5 now. So for polynomial A, our polynomial A is 3x squared plus x minus 2. So I'm going to replace the x with a 5. So this is 3 times 5 squared plus 5 minus 2. 5 squared is 25, times 3 is 75. When we add 5 to that, we get 80. And when we subtract 2, we get 78. Okay, so now polynomial B. Polynomial B is x squared minus 4x plus 3. We're going to plug in 5 in place of x. So we have 5 squared minus 4 times 5 plus 3. Okay, 5 squared is 25. 4 times 5 is 20, so 25 minus 20 is 5. And then we add 3 to it, so that is going to give us 8. Okay, so now we're going to look at polynomial C. That is 4x squared minus 3x plus 1. Again, I'm going to plug 5 in place of our x. So we have 4 times 5 squared minus 3 times 5 plus 1. Okay, 5 squared is 25. Times 4 is 100. So this is 100. 3 times 5 is 15. So 100 minus 15, that's 85. Then we add 1 and we get 86. Okay, polynomial D. Again, we're going to plug in 5 in place of x. First, we'll copy the polynomial down. It's 2x squared plus 5x minus 5. Okay, so now I will replace our x's with 5's. 2 times 5 squared plus 5 times 5 minus 5. Okay, 5 squared is 25 times 2 is 50. And 5 times 5 over here is 25. So 50 plus 25 is 75. Minus 5 is 70. I want you to notice that polynomial C, which we got by adding polynomials A and B, the value for polynomial C is equal to the values from A and B added together. Polynomial D, which we got by subtracting B from A, is equal to A minus B, subtracting B from A. 78 minus 8 is 70. So that's what they wanted you to see from this. If you have done all your math correctly, then the values that you get for the polynomials when you plug in 4 or when you plug in 5 should be what you would get if you just plugged them directly in and added them together. Okay, so that was number 6, which is like number 12. The next one we're going to do is number 7. Number 7 just has you adding polynomials. So we're going to do part C. Part C says add x cubed minus 3 and x squared plus 2 and x plus 1. Okay, so to add all these together, first I'm going to write them down in nice columns. I have an x squared. I'm going to leave space for I have x cubed. I'm going to leave space for an x squared term, for an x term, and then I have minus 3. The next one we had was x squared plus 2. So I'm going to put that here in the x squared column and then add 2. Then our last one was x plus 1, x plus 1. So now we have terms that are of the same degree in the same column. And what you'll notice is what we end up with is x cubed plus x squared plus x plus 0, because negative 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 0. So our actual answer here is x cubed plus x squared plus x. That's our answer for 7C, which is going to be just like number 13. We'll do one more from number 7. We're going to do 7D. And this is adding expressions with x, y, and z. So the first one we have is x minus 5y. And then we need to add y plus 6z. So I'm going to line up my y's, plus 6z. And then we have z plus 7x. So I'm going to put my z term in the z column. I'm going to put my x term in the x column, and I'm just going to stick a plus in between them. And then we also need to add x minus 8z. So I'm going to put the x in the x column and minus 8z in the z column. Now I can just add my columns. X plus 7x plus x, that is 9x. Okay, negative 5y plus y is negative 4y. 6z plus z minus 8z is minus z. So the answer to 7D is 9x minus 4y minus z. Again, this is just like number 13 that I assigned for the homework. Make sure that you put like terms in the same column. So x squareds need to all be in one column. X cubeds all need to be in one column. Y's need to be in one column. Z's need to be in one column. So everything that can actually be added together needs to be in one column. Okay, so now let's look at number 8. Number 8 is just like number 14 in the homework. Number 8 says subtract. So let's look at part C. It says subtract 6x plus 4 from 6x squared plus 4x. So the first thing we need to write is what we're subtracting from, because that's the number that goes on the top. We are subtracting from 6x squared plus 4x. What are we subtracting from it? We're going to subtract 6x plus 4. Whoops, the 4 needs to go all the way over here. Because we can't put it, whoops, I put my 6x in the wrong column. 6x plus 4. Let me get rid of this part. Okay, it's not getting rid of it very well. Okay, so remember that you want to keep like terms all in the same column, and I did not do that. Now we need to subtract this second polynomial. So what I'm going to do is flip the signs on it. They're both positive right now. I'm going to make them both negative. Now I can add these together. The 6x squared I just bring down because we don't have any other x squared terms. Then we have 4x minus 6x, that's negative 2x. And then we just bring down the negative 4. So what we end up with is 6x squared minus 2x minus 4. So we'll do one more from number 8, which is part D. For part D, we have subtract x squared minus 1 from x cubed minus x. We're going to write down the x cubed minus x first. I left a gap for the x squared term. And what we're going to subtract from it is x squared minus 1. X squared minus, whoops, I'm going to write that over here, minus 1. I need to flip all the signs in my second one, the one that we're subtracting, so I do that. Now we can add x cubed minus x squared minus x plus 1. This is number 8, which is just like number 14. I will do another video with number 9, which is like the last problem in the homework.